Thanks, Karen. So, yes, I was reminiscing a little bit about why am I here tonight, and it's because of my friendship with Karen. We worked together at the Rosenbach Museum and Library decades ago at this point, but when I moved to Old City, my studio, I looked around to see who do I know in the neighborhood, and Karen had moved from the Rosenbach here, so literally right around the corner. So it was wonderful to connect with her and to get connected to artists and a cultural institution in the neighborhood. So that was a wonderful way to be brought into the Center for Art and Wood. And Karen mentioned that I do bring kids from Northern Liberties here. I'm the director of NLArts, and we run a summer camp. We do day off camps and other programs for children, Northern Liberties, Fishtown, and Port Richmond. And so we came in here on a field trip, and we came up the stairs, and it's always a little nerve-wracking to bring my little friends in here, but they do great, and they can look around in that part of the collection and not touch. And as we came up the stairs, I saw this object, and it will get put back in the case, so next time you're coming up the stairs, you can take a look at it. And when I saw it, I was brought back and immediately to my childhood, because I had one of these, and I thought I had the only one, but lo and behold, there's more than one. And so when I was asked to do this, I knew this would be the object that I wanted to talk about. And so I will show you guys how this works and tell you that I spent many, many hours flipping these acrobats. And you can go really slowly. And this is what I would do. I would go as slowly as I could to see what would happen with them. And then they do that. And you can go back the other way as well. And that is the pleasure of the acrobats. Let's see. There we go. There we go. So I thought this would be a wonderful way to talk a little bit about the kinds of things that are in this collection, and also to say that the other reason I was really excited about doing this is that when I was a student at Winterthur, we got to touch the stuff, and it was so awesome. So this was a way for me to revisit that a little bit and have another moment of getting to touch. But what I wanted to do first, because we have a pretty small group, if we could just quickly go around and maybe just say your first name and your favorite toy that you had when you were young. And we'll do it super fast. Rebecca, do you want to start us off?
Since we were just talking about this.
Yeah.
My favorite game when I was little was that memory game where it would have had images on little actual almost pieces of wood, and you would turn them over, and then you had to find a match. And I managed to track one down later.
Yeah. That's really cool. Do you want to go next?
My name's Bob. When I was 8 or 9, my father worked at this place, and they made something called mini bricks. A little bit like Legos, but smaller. They were rubber, and they looked much more like bricks or blocks, stone blocks or something. They're kind of darker brown, and I guess usually you would get a box, something like that, out of them. But because he worked there, we had a barrel that was that big around, and all that. We could make cities out of this thing.
That's very cool.
It was wonderful.
That's very cool. Excellent. Pass it this way.
I'm Michaela. I don't know if it was my favorite toy, but the thing that first came to mind was my dad was a bus driver, and he had his uniform shirts come back from cleaners with a piece of cardboard in them. He'd give me a piece of cardboard, and I'd cut them out, and I'd cut out spaceships and tape them together. And then my parents gave me for Christmas a gigantic roll of tape.
So you can make your own toys.
I made my own spaceships.
That's very cool. That's awesome. Karen?
I liked Lincoln Logs, that age, and Spirograph, which I think I liked most because it belonged to my brother. You could make drawings and designs that were kind of beyond your own ability.
Yeah. You were tracing and moving it. Yeah, that's cool. Right, like the multicolor. I remember those. Yeah.
Susan, so that just reminded me of Etch-a-Sketch. That was fun, but I left, I think it was my dad's. It could have been older, but it was just a wooden abacus. Because I just like to move everything.
Yeah.
So.
That's really cool.
I'm Jim.
Hi, Jim.
I think I'm remembering a wooden truck my dad made for me when I was a baby.
Wow.
We were over in Denmark at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So this wooden truck. It was a very pragmatic woodwork, so it wasn't anything like tremendously intricate. But I played with that all through my childhood. My nephew inherited it, and he played with it all through his childhood. And my son played with it all through his childhood. And it's still in our basement. Everything is still in our basement. So that was fun.
That's awesome. Thank you. Dave?
Hi, my name's Dave. I really like the kaleidoscope. They were cardboard back in the day. Now in the museum, they're wood, beautiful, made objects. My favorite toy was the yo-yo. And you were looking at the Cheerios champ from 1960 on the corner of Higby Street in Northeast Philly. I always wanted to be a Duncan champ, but I never had the skills.
I'm Bob. I also had a childhood in Northeast Philly, and I had a red metal fire truck that I was inseparable from until like weeks ago.
I'm Catherine. I think the thing that comes to mind is I had a jar of marbles that my grandma had given me, and I would just, roll them across the floor for hours.
Perfect. Thank you all. And what is amazing to me is the joy that was coming from everyone actually talking about their toys and how important that is, and that that these objects that I think seem inconsequential actually really aren't, and that the things that we do with them have a lot of meaning for us. And part of why this one really also resonated for me was thinking about something that I had really taken for granted and played with as a kid, but that the museum chose to save and to keep for some reason in particular. And when we did a little bit of research about it, there's not much information in the catalog about it. It's and this is what I love about museums, and Karen can maybe expand on this, but everything in the collection is put into a category. And so the toys are called recreational artifacts, is how they're known in museum parlance, which I think is kind of funny. And so this is a recreational artifact, and it was made between 1970 and 1979, which jives, because so was I, and that was reassuring that like my memory was correct, and that they were right about that. But that's all we know about it. It's anonymous, and it's obviously it's made of wood, which is why it's here. But we don't know who made it, and obviously lots of people, many of these were made. And when I was thinking about it, I was wondering, well, maybe one person made the actual object itself, and then someone else was the painter. And I'm going to push this guy back a little bit. But in my own work as an artist, I'm really interested in color. And when I was, again, looking at this and kind of thinking back and wondering what what impact it might have had on me, these bright colors certainly are, remain interesting to me. And it's so simple. And that's the other thing too that was kind of coming through in everyone's memory of their object, is that it's not a very complicated object, but it's engaging and obviously had an impact on me. And the sad conclusion to this story actually is that I was certain I knew where mine was, that I knew what box it was in. I knew, it was with some other toys of mine that I had saved. And so when I knew I was coming to do this, I went to look for it, and I cannot find it. And I don't know if it broke and I threw it out, or if I was just not remembering correctly. So if anyone sees one of these, call the Center for Art and Wood. I did not have the same success Rebecca had of tracking one down. It's a difficult thing to Google. I tried. I was like, what is this? Wooden acrobat. There's no artist. There's nothing to go on particularly. So it's not mine because I saw this one and I thought, wait a minute. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Yes.
Was yours the same color?
Exactly. I mean, that's what was so strange about it, was that I really thought I had the only one, but apparently not. So I'm really happy that it's here and that it's preserved. And when I was a student at Winterthur, I gave tours a lot. It was part of what we were required to do. And often people would come in and they would say, oh, I have one of these. And it would be, an 18th century chair. And it was amazing to me that people had things that were collected by museums. So I felt very special when I saw that maybe I had something that was also collected in a museum. So that was the one object that I wanted to start out with. But then I thought it would be fun to look at toys a little bit more broadly. And I'm watching the clock because this is meant to be a relatively short talk, and then we can, if you have questions or comments, we can talk, or do feel free to interrupt me as we go along. But I thought it would be fun to look at tops, the group of tops that are in the collection, again because this is something that still has appeal. I went down the street and my friend runs Philadelphia Independence, which is a store that sells handmade objects, all made in Philadelphia, and was telling her what I was doing, and I was going to talk about the tops, and she said, oh, my 2-year-old nephew could not stop playing with his top over Thanksgiving. That, we taught him how to do it, he couldn't get enough of it. So this is an object that's still interesting to kids, and when I did a little bit of research, the oldest top is 6,000 years old. It was made out of clay. I had no idea. So these are not quite that old. I'll show you the ones. These are the two. I'm realizing I'm blocking your view down there. So these are two from, I'm guessing, the early 20th century. That's what the catalog said. And I'm showing them upside down. So they would go like this, but you wouldn't spin them with your hand. You would need a string wrapped around them to pull, because you wouldn't, they're pretty heavy. So the force of them, you would need to have the string to get them going fast enough. But they are turned wood objects, and I'm looking at Dave, who is the wood turner here, and can maybe tell us actually a little bit more about how these objects are made. We have the lathe there, so I don't know if you want to take a couple minutes and explain a little bit about the form itself.
So on a lathe, motorized lathe, probably some of those were made by a mechanical lathe where someone was cranking or treading. But you have your wood on a lathe, and it would be a lot wider than this for those objects. And it spins counterclockwise, from my view. And then you use your tool here, a little higher, and you take away anything that's not a top. You can't put it back. So you have to be right the first time. And so you turn your top, usually at the end, and then you part it by taking a sharp tool and just going in. And then your final work is to manually sand where it was parted off with sandpaper in your hands. The neat thing about turning a top on a lathe, like the two smaller ones, is that you can just take a magic marker, a felt magic marker, and just touch the sphere portion, and it'll put a perfectly round line on it, and the color perfectly. You know, so you can use 5, 6 different
Sort of
colors
like this one.
like that. So one year I made tops out on 3rd Street here, and they had a table inside where the children could take those tops and color them by hand.
So when I heard that, I thought, we're going to come back this summer, try to get Dave to make tops for my campers. So, and I think they would really like it. And it's a little bit like the spirograph. Sometimes I've seen you can like dip them, right, and spin the top, and you can see the mark that it makes. That could be kind of cool. So, so I was attracted to this top. The artist's name is Bonnie Klein. It was made in 1990, so it's been around for a while. And I'm going to give it a spin so you can see what it does. And this is something else I didn't really know about tops, is that they defy gravity. That's the force that's going on, and the reason that they slow down is friction. So I learned a little physics. I'm going to give it another spin just because it's fun. And what's cool is that this one you can see the colors blend when it spins. So, and there it's going to go. And then this top, what's its date? 1985, and it's made out of maple. And I'm realizing it's sort of hard to see, and I guess we can't pass objects. I'm looking, Karen, but it's really very delicate. And what Dave told me about making the top too is that it's the point where you have to be turning it from, it's very particular, so it stays balanced. And this one, it's a little bit harder to spin. I was trying it before, but it. Can I do it on table? Oh, here we go. All right, maybe not. I'm gonna give it one more try. I had it going before. It was floating. There it goes. For a minute. So anyway, I really liked the form. I thought it was really, really beautiful, and it's always fun to see a group of objects, similar objects that are different, and kind of compare what they're doing. One other thing about this one that I like very much, I don't know if you can see the pattern that's on it. And when I looked it up, it's called chattering, making that mark. And how, Dave, can you tell us how that's done?
Which mark?
The chattering, the little pattern that's put on there.
There's a tool that has a little wheel. So it has 2 prongs, and the wheel's in the middle, or an axle. And you push that into the wood, and the wheel has lines and cuts, and it grooves, and it'll chatter into the wood and make a pattern.
It's really lovely. You guys can see this. I'm going to give this one more spin just because it's fun. So the last top that we found was this one. And again, I was kind of attracted to it because of the colors and thought it was kind of funky looking. And when we looked it up, the artist's name is Marilyn Rodriguez Barely, and it was made in 1997. And she it considers herself a surrealist. And what I realized is that this top actually doesn't spin. I tried many times and it wouldn't go, and I thought, all right, that makes sense. But what's really cool about it is that wire, it kind of gives you the sense of its movement, or the idea of it moving, and it makes a really great shadow that again sort of suggests to me what the movement of it might be. That idea of, like, if you dip this in ink, how would it spin? So that rounds out our collection of tops to look at. And then when I was looking more at tops, these are kind of the traditional ones spun, turned on the lathe. The other innovation in tops was to use them for gambling, which I didn't realize that was sort of the first thing people did to advance tops. And so if you think of a top with 4 sides, you would spin it and you would bet on what would come up. And so, does anybody know? I'm going to ask a question. And this is a seasonal question, what top would be used sort of around this time of year that would be for gambling? A dreidel, yeah, which I hadn't thought about. And there's not a dreidel in this collection, but I had never really thought about a dreidel as gambling or a top, but it's both of those things. So, that's kind of all I've got prepared. I don't know if people have questions.
What is the gambling part? Like how long it stays going?
Which side comes up? So when a
Like
4-sided top,
wheel.
exactly. So that's
A wheel that's wall mounted that you spin that way is kind of like.
yeah, exactly. Like it's the same force, sort of again defying gravity and momentum that keep it going. So that's the object lesson about toys in the collection. There's some other great toys actually that I didn't pull out. There's some nesting dolls, actually several sets of nesting dolls that if you wander around the collection and want to look at, there's one sort of traditional doll version, there's a cat version, there's a version from East Germany that's pretty interesting. Did I get them all? And the Russian set, the traditional one.
So you'll see that some of the cabinets in there are organized by theme.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that's the funnest, for a lot of these came from, is called Winterthur. So it includes kind of absurd, ridiculous things.
Yeah.
And also some games.
Games, chess, right? Chess sets
The
are.
world's smallest chess set.
Yeah. So. So that's.
This also reminded me of something from my childhood that again was my dad's. It was not wood, but it was a metal top that you spun,
Mm-hmm.
and it was in a little round box case, and like one of the shapes was a star, and when you put that down, spun the top, it would go around the shape.
Oh, interesting. Okay, it would like follow the outline.
Follow the shape, yeah.
That's
Which I
very
never could
cool.
understand, but
How it did that. It's like the game you were talking about where you.
It's called Skittles.
Skittles?
The game with the top. And it goes from, there's a board that's kind of like a maze. And if your luck is right, it'll go through the little cutouts and into different rooms.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. I'm trying to picture like.
yeah, I mean this was obviously from the early 1900s.
Yeah. Do you still have it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in our basement.
Uh-huh. With the truck.
With the truck,
Right.
How does that work? Is it just a press fit on the shaft and different sort of
You
friction?
just flip it. It's so this, it just turns. There's no.
Right. But at some point they don't necessarily turn the same amount.
Well, so the one that I had, these guys seem to move around a little bit more on their stick. But if you get them lined up the same, although I don't know, I'm trying to turn it evenly. So this was the part that was so fun as a kid, was like who's going to flip when and what it would take. And then I have a brother who, of course, if I had something that I liked, he would try to take it, and he would take it and whip them around really fast. And that didn't go well. But it's, I mean, I'm going to flip it over, right? That's okay. Look at the underside. It says made in Japan. That should go in the in our information. And it looks like it's just held on with 2 nails.
Yeah.
And these are 2 just turned pieces of wood, a flat piece here, and this looks like a turned piece as well. Although this looks like it could just be bamboo. This
like
piece,
bamboo.
right, that it's on.
I like how the uprights are like Crayola crayon.
Yeah,
Yes.
totally. And looking at the painting, I'm thinking too about what Dave said about putting a crayon or a marker on something as it's turning. This almost looks like that to me, doesn't it? I mean, it would be a very steady hand that would get such an even mark on it if you were painting it. So maybe this was something that was painted and then turned on the lathe to put the marks on. Yeah, this guy is really great, and we just got to flip him one more time.
You're also kind of